Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We finally know when the sanctions will be lifted on Russia. And that information comes from German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. And I don't believe it. Nevertheless, let's see what this guy says. This comes from from the New Voice of Ukraine, the same thing. June 17th, 2022. Germany's Scholz says sanctions against Russia to be enforced until, and I'm quoting, fair agreement, end quote, reached with Ukraine. Okay, fair for whom? For all right. Sanctions against Russia will remain in force until a fair agreement is reached with Ukraine, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said in an interview with German public broadcaster ZDF on June 16th. And I'm quoting, the sanctions that have been imposed on us, self-imposed, will remain in force until a fair agreement is reached with Ukraine, end quote, he said. He said that only Kiev can determine which condition will be fair, and no one in Europe, only in Europe, has the right to impose their opinion on this. Only in Europe. Words have meanings. All right, should have been in the world. That's how it should have been, but it's just in Europe. Okay, we got it. Maybe Australia has something to say. Maybe North Korea. In addition, Scholz emphasized that his country would never accept the illegal annexation of the Crimea, as it is a, and I'm quoting, violation of international law. Wow, Germany read the international law now? It's up to date on that? Wasn't that involved in 1999 bombardment of Yugoslavia, which was a violation of international law? No, yes, no, yes, 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 yes. How about that? And if you do that and you're in violation of international law and crimes occur or death and destruction, the people responsible for that are called, right, a certain kind of name. They have to investigate it, be investigated, trialed, and then convicted, and then put in prison or wherever whatever the punishment, wherever the punishment has to meet obviously the crime here. So I think that would be a very, very harsh punishment for 1999 illegal bombardment of Yugoslavia. But hey, it's pick and choose. It's situational virtue here, virtue signaling, and yeah, it's regarding Crimea. I don't think Russia gives up if anybody recognizes Crimea, as Russia doesn't recognize Kosovo and other countries as well. But nevertheless, uh, it says here that the German Chancellor also denied that he had initially hesitated to supply heavy weapons to Ukraine, for which he was severely criticized. So, since he lives in a democratic system where the little fish vote based on your popularity and how good you look and how well you express certain notions without saying anything, actually, obviously he was pressured by his media to go along with the script, and he did. He was criticized by whom? By people? No, by the mass media. Who's mass media? You report, right? Or you're the people that analyze certain things. That's true. But everybody was criticizing the guy, and he said, "Okay, man, I'll do it." But that's how it works over there. If they wanted to let's say, make Germany, I don't know, give Bavaria to, let's say, Austria, what would they have done? Because it was, let's say, it's criticized. If some people start criticizing Olaf Scholz about Bavaria being part of Germany and not Austria, let's say, okay, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna just okay, here you go? Well, you see, there are reasons. Even if you criticize, there will always going to be criticism, more or less. And you look at the people, look at their interest and their agenda, and then you answer to that. Look objectively to solve problems. I don't care if I'm criticized. I'm just looking at the criticism, see if it's legitimate, see if it's going to improve something, if it's the right thing to do. And if I have questions about it, I'm going to ask for details. But I'm not going to just cave in because some people criticize me. And I'm going to look obviously who those people are after a while. If I realize that actually their criticism is not really based on a desire to change, to improve things, to do the right thing, if you know what I mean. Then you look at the people, look at their sponsors, look at their agendas, look at their companies they work for, look who's behind that. So it's very easy to figure out who's who was what. But then since he's in a democratic system, most people listen to those guys, right? They read Bild and Der Welt and ZDF and other German news, right? The Spiegel and who knows what. Then they say, okay, this guy's a bad dude. He's with Putin because that's how they portray him. And he's going to lose power, right? Power. He's going to lose power, and then he has to cave in, even though it's just, let's say, 5 news outlets and the rest of the population, let's say, supports him. How is he going to, how will he know that? Opinion polls? Who makes the opinion polls? It's such a, but that's the big frustration coming from the Western so-called free press. And I'm talking about the corporate media, not about this kind of, even though, you know what I mean. It's the frustration that they lose the grip on deciding who's who, what's what in the political system. Before, let's say 20 years ago, you had the big 5, 4, 3 big corporations talking in unison. If they wanted to get a politician down, they would just start a campaign in a week, and the guy would change course, like this guy did right here. Change course in a minute, because those guys were forming the opinion, and you would lose the election. You would be done. Toast. Done. First time when I read that, I was young, very young. I don't know, maybe, no, I was about 18, 17, 18. I read, certain things, and like all of us did. There was a guy who said, he realized that the same thing then and that happened in the beginning of the previous century, when he said the mass media, the newspapers at that time, can make the most trivial event the most important one all of a sudden in the society, and the most important one hide it as non-existent. And the same person wrote that the mass media is able to create a insignificant individual as being a hero, no names here, and from the most important one that doesn't follow the whatever they want him to follow, the most evil. It can destroy or get someone up, propel someone up in a week or two. This is the power of mass media. That was in 1920s, 1913, 15, 17, 19, something like that. And it's still available right now. It's still valid. The thing is, now you have things around that, and these guys are dying. And that happened with the internet and the ability to communicate bypassing them. So nevertheless, this guy is, he told us, right, and then he says here that he was criticized. Yeah, he's can't be always unanimity, and there's no point in doing something just because someone is shouting, or not doing something because someone is shouting again. All right, well, they were and you did, so you're the prime example, the clearest example that they shout at you and you just caved in because your popularity contest is going down. You're going to lose elections and you have to start working. All right. Thank you very much for being with me again. We know then when Zelensky agrees, is allowed by London to negotiate in bad faith, or in certain terms that would never be accepted by the Russians, it's going to be a perpetual war, like George Orwell's 1984 novel, right? Perpetual war. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.